Let's get a little weird. Let's get a little odd. Those sounds you like to hear. We got it going on. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the ODDCAST, where we talk about turning passion into paychecks. We have a very special guest today, Alex Grechman. He is a photographer. He's originally from Russia, actually Kazakhstan, but he comes from us by way of Moscow, and now he's in San Diego doing some great photography. He does headshots, he does sports photography, he does event photography, whether it's weddings, whether it's corporate events, whether it's startup conferences. He's really a jack of all trades when it comes to photography. So let's introduce Alex. And how are you doing today, Alex?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome, it's great. It's great to have you in the ODDCAST studios. So let's just, I guess, with photography, we might as well start at the inception. I read a little bit of your bio, and you were saying you kind of got into it by collecting vintage cameras and just being into photography kind of as a hobby.
Yeah, it's actually like a goofy story, I would say. So it was probably like around like the beginning of 2000s or something. I was in Urban Outfitters, like everyone else, right? Browsing through the bin where they have all the where you go at the register, like, and they have like an end bin, like a last minute item. And I found like there was a fisheye camera. I think it was from Lomography or Womanography, some company like that. Uh-huh. So we're making like cheap cameras, like plastic cheap cameras, and the cool thing was that they have a fisheye lens on it, and you have to shoot it on film. So I got like my first camera was a bright bold, like yellowish color, stupid looking fisheye camera. But I just started snapping pictures. Just there was no setup or anything. You just rewind the film and just press.
Wow.
Just point and shoot.
That's just pure photography, right?
I guess so. I thought it was cool looking back then, right? Because it was like all starting. And like from that on, I just like went on the Russian version of eBay. It's called Molotov. It's like hammer. It's like auction, I guess, or whatever. And I bought like a whole bunch of vintage Soviet cameras because like they're pretty cheap and they're pretty, sturdy and like really reliable. I guess we used to like make good cameras back then or something like that.
That's awesome.
No, not anymore. So they're cheap. You just can buy load up a film and start shooting. And like this is how I got into like photography and everything. Just started shooting, but not developing though. Like people say you have to be like a true photographer where you stop developing your own film, but I never got into it. I don't know why. It just seemed too complicated, and all the business around like film photography in Russia started growing. I mean, like there was a whole bunch of companies that developed the film and process it and digitize it for you. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I guess then I got a small digital camera, and the ball started rolling.
That started the progression into. Yeah. So that's interesting. So I mean, it really did start as purely kind of a hobby by way of chance, and then. I know that you started working at a museum in Moscow as the content editor there. So how did that just come when you got the digital camera and you kind of, as you said, learned more about the business, or how did that happen?
Well, that's a completely different story, I guess. Wow. So I got my first diploma in management and economics. I went to school for that and was working for a big company. It's in Russia. They used to sell like commercial vehicles. It's a Hyundai commercial vehicle company. So it's completely different set of skills and everything. It was just like a office job with a suit and tie and everything. And I guess by that time we had like it was 2007. You remember there was there was a recession back then, and like the job opportunities started dwindling and everything. And I guess I wasn't really happy at the job, so I decided to go back in school to study journalism. So I went to journalism school and got my diploma in there. And while I was there, I got a job at the museum doing like journalist. I'm like a content editor for the website. And so and of course they need some like written content and they need visual content. They had their own photography department, but those guys were pretty, like, I guess you can say, old and not very willing to move as fast as I would like them to.
Yeah.
So I just picked up a camera and started doing it myself, like shooting visual content, like pictures for the stories I would write and publish on the website, on their website.
That's awesome. So I mean, you kind of made it happen yourself. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So could you talk? I mean, it's such a powerful thing that you kind of were working a job where you're like unhappy with the daily life, and to step away from a job where you've invested time in and then kind of re-enroll into school and do a complete kind of 180 in career shift. Was that a little scary for you at first, or?
Probably, but like it's more of a passion thing, I guess, because I always wanted to like write something, right? To be a journalist, to do that, but you know how it is when you like finish high school. Your parents are like, "Oh, well, it's not a real job. You have to like earn money, go and like do some finance and stuff, right?
Yes.
Go be like a serious person and
Lawyer,
everything."
doctor, finance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but when I've done that, so I had some money saved. I wouldn't say that I had like a lot, but I was pretty comfortable.
A little bit of a cushion.
Yeah, and I was like all by myself. I didn't have a girlfriend or anything. So I guess I just decided to go for it.
Yeah, and so that's awesome. The museum in Moscow sounds like it was fabulous for you and terrific in terms of. You said you got to meet Annie Leibovitz there.
Yeah, she had her show there.
Yeah, can you tell for the viewers out there who don't know why she's so influential for not only you but photography in general? So
Annie Leibovitz is like a famous portrait photographer. So if you saw a glossy picture of, I don't know, any celebrity, you name it, I guess, it's probably like a 50-50 chance that she took the picture.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So she's super, I guess, famous with celebrity portraits. But she's done extensive work in reportage photography as well. So she went to Kosovo, where they had like a civil war there. She did a lot of reportage photography for the like a war photography as well. So this side of her is not really that exposed, like the side with the celebrities, because she's doing like a lot of celebrity portraits and they're really beautiful and really, I guess she can, like, when it's a corny thing when they say that you can look inside a person's soul and see their essence, yes, but I think she can do that most of the time.
You know, they say cliches they exist for a reason sometimes, you know, and I think with her it is. I think the one she's very famous for is the portrait of Lenin the day that he was assassinated. I believe she took a picture of him the day that he was assassinated, which is wild. John Lennon. Right. I was like... But yeah, that's so cool, and like meeting her must have been quite phenomenal. I mean.
Well, like with every celebrity, they're all down to earth. I mean, most of them, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't met a lot of them, but
I'm just
like,
checking recording.
Yeah,
we're good.
Most of them are like down to earth. So was she. She was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And like I met her during the artists, when they do their solo exhibit, like if they're still alive, I guess, when when their exhibit is shown in the museum. Before it starts, they do a last walkthrough through the whole the halls and just check how the final inspection, exactly, how the work is presented and everything, and do last minute changes maybe if they. And so I was there, like taking her pictures when she was doing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so this is how I guess I met her, and she was like super cool. She just. Like, hey, what's up? Like, shook my hand and everything. Like,
wow.
Just wasn't paying any attention after that. She was just doing in her own work and everything. So
very focused, huh?
Very focused, yeah. So, like, I guess like a real artist, right?
Real artist and true professional.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. I mean, it's so cool when you meet someone who means so much to you and to your profession, and they're cool. You know, because sometimes, like, you know, let's say,
and you get to take their picture.
Well, that's that's the extra step.
Yeah.
But like, you know, if you meet someone who's like, you know, a hero of yours, or a, you know, you look up to them and you want to emulate them, and then they're a jerk when you meet them, that would stink. You know, so it's awesome that she's so down to earth and, you know, was so focused on her work, but also it took the time to, you know, chat it up.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So the interesting thing, so you're in Moscow being the content editor for a museum there. What prompted you? Did you move? Was it from there directly to San Diego?
no.
Oh, there's a little story there too.
Yeah, I would say there is a little story. I went back to working at the office.
No way.
Yeah.
Swear to God.
After that. Yeah, so the money wasn't that great, you know how it is? Yeah, well, I wasn't like doing great on my bills and everything.
Okay.
So I had to go back and start working again for like a business side of things. Like,
was that a little bit humbling?
I guess it was. I mean, I had to move on from that. I had an option to move to a different gallery, like a private one. They pay more, but I guess the money could not be matched, I would say. So I was by then I was almost pushing 30, and it was time to settle down.
I understand.
And my back then serious girlfriend, and now my wife, like she was saying like, come on, you have to like be serious about the stuff. Passion is passion, but if it doesn't pay the bills, I guess you have to move on and do something that you can.
Yeah, of course, especially like you said. I mean, when earlier on when you said you were single, that's one thing, but if you have a serious girlfriend, you know, then it's a different thing. You know, if you have, let's say you have a kid, that's a different thing. You know, there's circumstances changes which change what you're able to do, I think.
Yeah.
So you went back to the job. I mean, now what I'm curious to find out is, so you're in Moscow at the museum, you get another offer from another museum.
I had to turn it down.
You turned it down, but you took the office job. Then, so what moved you from? Is it that office job to San Diego, or is there something else?
You can say that. Of course, there's more of the whole situation with political climate. I don't know if I can say, like, I can talk freely about that. I don't know if it's okay to do. I mean,
it's whatever you want to share. We're open here. You know, we're open-minded here.
Yeah, the whole situation in Russia changed a lot, meaning that we annexed Crimea. I mean, Russian government annexed Crimea, and the sanctions that were imposed on Russia, they were pretty harsh. I mean, like, for one, the interest rates went up, and like you end up working for the bank that you borrow your money for. And unfortunately, the company had to be, I guess, closed or went bankrupt. I would say dissolved. And so I was like, no job. I can start looking for another, but as it were, I had a permanent residency in United States.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, I guess we have to go back a little bit more.
Yeah, awesome.
So the first time I came here was in 1996.
Wow!
With my mom. We went on I guess the grand tour of the East Coast of United States. We went to New York, Washington, Orlando, Disneyland. Of course, I was 11 back then. I had to go there. And Atlanta, it was in 1996, so we went to see Olympic Games. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And she had friends from college, and they just met, and they say, "Come on, you get a tourist visa that you can stay for like a year if you have a reason to do it." So the one reason is to be enrolled in a school for me. So I went to 5th grade, Neil Armstrong Middle School.
No way!
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And when we were like, when I was at school, my mom, I guess, applied for the green card lottery, and when we got back into Moscow, like a year later, we got the news that we won. Dude. And we got a green card and everything. So I guess this is why like the choice was so not easy, but simple. Yeah, I have opportunity to come to United States and start something new here, and me and my wife decided to do it. So we, I guess pulled the plug or what?
Yeah, pulled the trigger.
Pulled the trigger, right?
That's incredible. Yeah. That's pretty awesome. So, I mean, that's funny that it tails all the way back though to '96 of why. So, I have to ask, I'm not from San Diego originally. I'm from Washington D.C., but this is kind of my home now, and I love it. Why'd you pick San Diego?
I guess just by chance.
Just by chance?
Just by chance. So
wow.
When we came here, so my mom, she actually lives in Philadelphia, so she permanently lives there. So first we came there. She and my dad were separated, so he stayed in Moscow and she moved to Philly.
My mom's from Pennsylvania, by the way.
Yeah. Cool.
Reading.
Oh, she's not from there. But
sorry. Yeah.
she lives there. She lives there. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom was born in Pennsylvania. Anyway.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. It's a small world.
It's a small world.
Yeah. So we moved there, but I guess we just decided to try our luck on the West Coast because we've never been and we always wanted to see. So we took her car and did a whole cross country road trip to Los Angeles. We went to Los Angeles. We met up our friends there, and went to Vegas. Just had some fun there. Went to Grand Canyon.
Awesome.
Went to San Francisco. And just started looking for a place to stay, permanently.
Mm-hmm. My bad. Here, just move that over.
I'm sorry.
No, you're all good. You're all good. it just keeps hitting. It's my fault.
So I guess what was it?
Right, where you were looking for this
for a permanent place to stay, right? So for all you people in Los Angeles, I'm sorry to say this is not the city for me because it's basically Moscow with palm trees. So
in what sense is that? That's great.
Sense is the traffic jams there are insane. They're not as insane as in Moscow, but still, it's pretty hard to come from one place to another and just the city is so separated into their own neighborhoods and regions and everything, and to get from one place to another it just takes so damn long, you know.
Well, I didn't realize that Moscow was like that. So it's
no, the Moscow is pretty centered, but the traffic problem there is crazy. We have big and wide roads, 5-lane each way roads, but you still get into traffic 6 days a week. You can probably move around on Sunday, and after the New Year's is probably the only way you can move around the city. So just to get a 30-minute drive is nothing in Moscow. It's it's in your neighborhood. To get from one place to another by car is just 30. And the whole city in the whole span of the city is 40 kilometers. It's probably 20 something miles, and it's nothing, right? Wow. 20 miles is nothing, and you can spend 3 hours going 20 miles for one part of the city to another. So
is there I'm not totally familiar with Moscow actually. Is there a good public transportation?
Oh, there's a good underground, probably the same as in New York.
Oh wow.
So they're pretty good with that, but it's different in Moscow, meaning you get a car is more of a status symbol. So you don't use public transportation when you have a car. So in our thing is that you want to spend 3 hours driving in your own car, listening to your own music, then 30 minutes on a bus or on an underground, you know.
I can understand that in a certain sense.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing, you know.
Well, now with podcasting, I mean, I'm sure there's huge podcasts in Russia. I mean, you can listen to those in traffic whenever, you know.
Yeah.
So if we could get the Russian translation for this, hopefully, that's what we're going to do after. We're going to have you lip dub over everything I'm just kidding. So that's interesting. I mean, that's kind of why I like San Diego in a way too, because we can, if we need to go to LA, let's say for example you have a show up there, you need to cover an event up there, you're there in an hour and a half, 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
But you don't have to deal with that on a daily basis.
Exactly, yeah.
And the thing that's really nice about San Diego, there's something about it that feels like it's more relaxed. I don't know. It's people, instead of working 9 to 5, they work 10 to 4 here. You know, you don't see many people in suits really. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of a very mellow, relaxed, beachy lifestyle. And it is one of the top 10 biggest cities in America in terms of population, but it does not feel like that.
Yeah.
So when you decided on San Diego, I know that you...
Yeah, we just rolled the dice, you know. We came here...
The old...
Yeah, exactly. So we came here and we drove into downtown. So we were looking for something like Moscow, but not particularly like one. So when you compare downtown LA to downtown San Diego, LA downtown is pretty high up and pretty busy, I would say, right?
Yes,
and,
sir.
I guess it's too big for... We thought back then it was too big, but now, of course, my wife really likes LA. She's also a photographer. And
is she?
Yeah, she is.
That's awesome. We
Yeah.
can definitely give her a shout out at the end so they can find where to find her work.
And she really likes it now, and she goes there like a lot, and she always tells me that probably we should try and move there, but I'm always against it. I don't know why. I don't want to go there. I really like here. I really like San Diego.
Does she have a website that we can tell people to go to, or?
Yeah, she does.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to share it, or?
Sure. It's VeronicaGrechman.com.
So we have VeronicaGrechman.com and we have AlexGrechman.com. That's where you go to not only see their galleries, you find out about them, and you can contact them to book them for, whether it's...
well, she does most of like a portraiture and content for Instagram.
Oh wow,
people
that's awesome.
And everything. So we're divided in that sense. So we separate our so we don't get like competitive and everything.
Smart. And sorry, could you spell your last name just so they know exactly?
So Alex is spelled regular like ALEX, and Grechman is GRECHMAN.
And we will put that along the rope right there, and you will see where to find him. And so that's really awesome. That's smart that you divided it like that. Actually, there's a few other podcasts that we kind of get advice from that we've been talking to on our meteoric rise. No, I'm just kidding. But where we're kind of trying to figure out how to stay in our own lane, but also work together. Because within a profession, you do want to be able to collaborate with people. I mean, I'm sure sometimes if you're working on something, you can go to your wife and you can say, hey, how does this look? Or, hey, can I do something? And likewise for her with you.
Of course. Yeah.
But if you're not competing, then that can be more honest collaboration because, you're going to want it to look the best, of course.
Exactly. And we can sell like each other as a package, like 2 for 1 and everything like that too.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
She does that with weddings, so I'm like her second shooter on weddings. So I do mostly like a backstage and like candid shots, and she does more of a bride and groom type of stuff on a wedding. So she doesn't get nervous that she missed something, like a detail on a guest, and I'm like her backup and everything like that.
So that's interesting. So you do. I know you do headshots, but do you tend to work less with portrait stuff?
Yeah, but like headshots is more of a like a corporate thing. It's more of like a LinkedIn type of stuff. It's more of a professional and everything. And she does portraits and everything for more of a lifestyle type of stuff, like weddings or social media. Exactly, like a person wanna go and do like a small photo shoot near the Torrey Pines, probably near the ocean with a nice change of outfit and everything. And the headshot is more of a 3/3 kind of a half turn, smiling.
You come in and do it right here, basically. I mean,
probably
the lighting has to be.
Yeah, you would like to get a pretty decent background or no background, like a complete white thing. It depends on you, but. I mean, I tend to not to go into that direction a lot because I don't know, she it's her territory. And she's more into that. She really likes it. So
that's great.
When people ask me, I always try to direct them towards my wife. And
That's cool. It sounds like you guys have not only a great relationship but a great working relationship too, which is really awesome. So I have to ask you because I'm a huge fan of skiing and snowboarding. I saw some of your gallery because I'm also a huge sports nerd. Some of your shots from those skiing things were absolutely incredible.
Oh, thank you.
So do you ski and snowboard too?
I ski. Yeah.
I figured you must to get up there.
Yeah. Well, I was born in Kazakhstan in Almaty or Almata. I don't know how do you actually pronounce it. So it's I was actually born on a near the mountains.
Really?
Yes.
Really? How?
So-
that must be kind of cool growing up that.
Yeah, it was. So I started skiing from a young age because like that's the thing that people do there. There's like
You don't know
because-
anything else. It's
Yeah, there's just a lot of snow and you have to do something in those mountains there.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I started skiing like when I was a little boy and like continued doing that, but not as much in here that I would like to. Of
Yeah, well, for here, Big Bear's nice, but you kind of have to go to like Tahoe or Mammoth if you really want to get that,
Yeah, we went to Big Bear last year. We skied for one day, and the rest of the week we stayed home because it was raining all the time. So yeah.
That's the one cool thing about Big Bear is usually it's really sunny, so that stinks.
Yeah.
That stinks. So, how is that like? I guess the question I want to ask based off that is how is it when you're in such a different environment, like you said, shooting Annie Leibovitz walking around doing her final check of her exhibit in a museum in Moscow versus being on the top of a freaking mountain and shooting someone doing a crazy curl turn. I mean, what's the I know that's a very open-ended question, but how do you address those differences in not only setting but how they want the picture to be kind of taken?
I don't know. I guess you have to get a feel for it. I mean, it's more of a. I would say it's like more of a equipment type of thing. So
really?
when you shoot like a sport photography, you use most like zoom lens, and like you put it on a sport mode and you just spray and pray.
Is that spray and pray? Wow, that's great. So is sport mode's fast shutter? Right?
Yeah. Just like the more of a expensive type of cameras can do like a 20 frames per second.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's like a Gatling gun, just press a button and
So then it comes down to kind of that's more of like after the fact. Then you're taking all those and you're seeing which one turned out the way that. Interesting.
So it's not really super crazy or anything like that.
Wow.
I guess you have to know the angle the best to do. But
so the setup's more important than anything, kind of. Than I mean, you're gonna hopefully get it right, but you like the setup in terms of like, oh, I picked the angle right, or oh, I picked to be here right. So, I mean, that's pretty interesting.
I guess the more of the difficult thing is have to ski because the mountains there is pretty steep. You have to know your way around the mountain just to take pictures because you can drag your butt around the mountains and.
Were any of those? Did you go up in a helicopter for any of those?
Yeah.
I was going to say they looked like. Was that where was that? Like Alaska?
So yeah, it was one in Valdez, Alaska.
Wow.
And like we did some heli skiing in Chile as well.
On the Andes?
Yes.
Holy moly!
And they have a different seasons. So when it's summer here, it's winter there. So it's pretty cool when you're here is summer and you go there into snow and everything.
Is that kind of surreal, like in a way, or does it just feel normal?
I guess when you used to live here in San Diego, where you didn't see any snow, it probably is. But from the Moscow's perspective, it's finally sun, it's finally warm, and you just go into the mountains to the snow and to the cold.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's cool. That's really interesting to know that because as I take photos on my phone. That's about it. As someone who doesn't really understand that, just to know that it's kind of the difference of setup based on what you're doing. That's very interesting. The next thing I wanted to ask you about, which seemed really cool, is on your About Me on your website. You were talking about that event you did in TJ.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Tijuana.
Startup crawl.
Yeah, the startup crawl. Would you care to talk? Because it seems really neat.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. So I got to know those people from TJ when I was doing photography for Startup Week. If anyone you guys know, there is a great startup scene here in San Diego, and there is a website, San Diego Startup, or startupsandiego.org.
We'll find it and we'll put it there.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. So they're like a non-profit who fosters like relationships between startups and the mentors and the founders and everything. And they have a couple of conferences during the whole year. There is one coming up in January. It's called Convergence, and they have one in July or in June that is Startup Week.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. So if you're into like startup, you should definitely check it out. They do like a lot of talk. So I guess well, this is like a whole story, I guess, how I started photography
That's all
actually
good.
here in San Diego. So
That'd be great.
when we came here, and I used to work for a startup in Hillcrest. It was like a Russian startup, and we're trying to do a restaurant loyalty app, and it didn't pan out, I guess.
Okay.
But during that time, I went to the startup week and just met like a whole bunch of people there, and became a volunteer. So I volunteered to do their photography for the next event, and so that's how I met a lot of people from the community and like the organizers, and this is how I met people in TJ, like all the guys who come here across border and try to promote the whole Baja California region as a thing.
That's awesome.
And they just invited me to do like a I guess to cover their startup crawl where they did it.
Wow, that's really cool. I mean, that must have been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, they did like a couple of tracks, not more than a couple of tracks. So they divided them by themes. So they did like a manufacturing track, social impact track, maybe something else. I don't remember.
Yeah. No, that's cool that they don't just limit all in one.
And you can decide which way you want to go. So they have a lot of manufacturing TJ. So if you're looking to get something made, you can like go and tour the factories and facilities and see how they do that. And like if you're just interested in like in a social impact thing, they have a track for that. I was actually photographing that track.
Oh, you were doing the social impact one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We were going through the interesting startups that they're doing. So one of them were the startup that were like a telemarketing company, but they hire people who get deported from US who were born here, but I guess not born. I guess if you're born here, you're
naturalized. Yeah.
But like people who came here at a young age, and they're probably like more American than me, but they doesn't have any papers and they talk without an accent. So they're probably like they just told like horror stories about people who are just dropped at the border and like didn't know what to do about it, and they just gave them a job just to be a telemarketing company, I guess. Well,
that's awesome that they do something. I mean, because look, like, not to get too, I'm not even going to try to get political because I don't know too much, but look, I've always thought the beauty of America is like that America like is made up of like not even one type of person, and like again, I understand that there are laws and you need official papers and stuff, but like you said, if you can just look at someone and be like, they're American, whatever. We'll leave that for a different day.
Yeah, you're right.
It's ridiculous though that we deport people on that level. Whatever, I'll just say it. That's interesting though. I mean, that's cool. So you seem to have really like kind of spread your wings in terms of like not only sport, not only weddings, not only startups, not only running your own business, not only headshots, but I mean, is that just because you're running your own business and you want to be well-rounded, or is there something within that you're trying to find that you like prefer more, that you want to get into specifically?
I would say it's more of an experience-based type of thing. I guess I'm just looking at my. I would say I was looking at my portfolios like what I want to do next. I want to shoot music. I want to shoot live performances. So I went on a Craigslist and found a band who were looking for a photographer to go to the TJ and shoot their concert.
Dude.
For free, but they paid for my lodging and for my food.
So expenses basically.
Yeah, but like it's more of an experience type of thing. I wanted to shoot music, to get into that stuff, and you just go for it,
Dude, that's really powerful. That's powerful, I think. I mean, I think that's should be inspirational to anyone out there who's like considering, hey, I love photography, or hey, I love making music, or hey, I love making videos, or hey, I love making a podcast. Get out there and try it. And even if you're not getting paid to do it, I mean, find a situation where you can learn something from it, where you can gain something, whether even if it doesn't lead to a paycheck. I mean, you're going to get paid in some way, whether it's value or experience, like you said. So that's I really respect that you do that. That's pretty awesome. And how was that with the band in TJ?
Oh, it was pretty cool.
It must have been a blast.
Yeah. They did like a concert in a bar that was like a like a ground floor was a mariachi type of band.
No way.
And the upstairs was like a rock club and stuff like that. So
That's awesome.
It's pretty fun. It's like surreal when you go downstairs, like to the restroom. There's like a mariachi band playing. You go upstairs, it's like a people with long hair just like rocking it to the beats and everything.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Sorry, could we hear? My bad.
Sorry, yeah.
No. It's a terrible position for a thing. We're still trying to work out the set here, day by day. I apologize. What's it called? That's funny. Also, how you said surreal. I think it must be have been surreal, just being Kazakhstan to Moscow, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in Mexico, photographing a band in a mariachi/rock hall. I mean, that's pretty beautiful in a way.
It is. Yeah.
That's awesome. Speaking of that, would you say that kind of you seem to have a fairly global upbringing and background. Do you think that influences your photography and kind of your openness to being open to doing different types of shooting, or is that just you in general, do you think?
Maybe subconsciously. I never thought about it that way, So
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, because I sometimes think I was raised overseas and internationally. I think that sometimes helps my ability to, without even knowing it, just kind of be open to just, random experiences and fun experiences and kind of, pushing the envelope for myself. So I think you're a perfect example of that. Without even knowing it, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, well, you get like a different perspective. You always want to change your angle on life, I guess you can say that, to get a new perspective. And it can really open up to new experiences and everything like that.
Yeah, I think also too, I mean, being a photographer, whether you're shooting, in the Alps or whether you're shooting a wedding in Coronado, it has to be pretty rewarding to kind of give someone a picture and then they have this lasting memory that you've done professionally. I mean, that has to be a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, if they like it, sometimes they don't, and you feel like terrible, like what am I doing here,
It must be a little pressure, yeah. Like you were saying, your wife has you on the backup for the weddings just in case.
Yeah. And when my wife starts to critique my work, it's just that's terrible,
Oh man, that's awesome. So I mean, as a you are a small business owner yourself, basically for your own business. Has that been rewarding as kind of like everything you do is for your own?
Well, yeah, it's actually like going to college, when you're, I mean, like when you're like your own boss, you do whatever you like. So basically, like just whatever you like. I mean, like you can give yourself a day off, but you're not gonna do any work today, and you're not gonna make any money.
Yes.
So you have to be responsible in that way. But in some other sense, you're almost always free. You can go and do whatever you like if you feel like it, and if you have, I guess, earn a lot like enough money to do it.
Yeah. So
there is pressure in that you have to always be in a work mode, but you have to find like a
balance
between that. Yeah, you don't get like a paid vacation or anything. You just make it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, because I was sorry. Our last interview was with a gentleman who is an artist, and he has a clothing company in Los Angeles, and we were talking a lot about when you're in business for yourself, the balance, like you said, between self-motivation, but also giving yourself some time off, giving yourself a creative outlet where...
Yeah, you can run yourself down pretty easily. I mean, when you just get into like a work mode and start working non-stop, thinking that you have to make that paycheck and everything, that can bring you down. I mean...
Yeah, and I think it can negatively probably affect your work as a result.
Probably, yeah. You become like a factory just...
Yeah, without subconsciously even knowing it, and maybe you get an angle that you weren't happy with, but you're like, screw it, I'll get it anyway, and
or you just start looking at your work like it's not a creative thing.
Wow,
and it's
that's dangerous.
Yeah, it is. I think like when you start just half-assing it and everything. I mean, almost every type of creative gets to that place where you just screw it, that works.
Yeah.
I'm gonna half-ass it and everything is fine.
Yeah, that's where you need to tap back into that self-motivation
Exactly.
and say, hey, I'm in this for the creativity.
Exactly.
So just to kind of, I mean, we've covered a lot of points. I wanted to ask you like how the impact of, I know your wife does a lot of social media photography, but how is social media like for you, like your page, Fotoskeptic, by the way, FOTO Skeptic.
Yeah.
Find him on Instagram. We'll put it up there. But how has that not only impacted like your ability to run the business? I'm sure that's helped in that sense, but kind of just in order to broadcast your work. Your page is really cool. I love the black and white thing.
Yeah, I decided to do black and white because I guess I wanted to stand out.
It's really eye-catching. It's nice.
Yeah, and black and white is more of a... It gives it the analog vibes, I would say. Like,
Wow.
It gives it more of a... like a vintage type of feel, I would say.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's more of a striking. And between me and you, it's a lot easier to do black and white.
Oh, is it? So you don't have to worry about as much adjustment?
Color correction and everything, right? Yeah.
Wow, I never thought about that.
You just worry about contrast more of that, yeah.
Okay. Yo, you said something on your biography where you said you were, you got into, when you were getting into photography, the Aperture, Aperture, Aperture. I'm not sure what that word meant. I should have looked it up. It was some. It's sorry about that. It was some effect aperture definition. Yeah, aperture.
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 Yeah, and
an opening hole or gap.
yeah. It's a camera thing. I mean, it's a basic setup of a camera. So you do aperture. The ICO is a what is a. Sorry, it's all the technical terms.
Oh, you're all good.
So there is basically a speed that the shutter does it. It's it's called no, actually f-stop is the aperture. So when a photographer tells you the f-stop, it's basically the hole in the lens, the opening. So the wider it is, the more light goes through the lens to the sensor.
Okay.
So that's the aperture, and then you regulate the speed of the frame shutter, the shutter speed. And there is a third thing is the ICO is sensitivity of the sensor towards the light. So it's basically three things that you need to know when you're doing photography to watch for it.
Wow, I would never have known that. I'm glad I asked.
It's I guess it's a basic stuff, and when you put the camera on auto, that the computer inside the camera does it for you. So.
Oh really? Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so but like the real photographers do it on manual, right? So
Yes, sir.
they know how to do it on manual.
Yes, sir. So I mean, yeah, that's really interesting. And just to bring it back to the social media thing, have you found that that's helped your business grow in a positive way?
I would say yes. I got more recognition.
Interesting.
Well, you get more traffic generated towards your website. Of course, it's like the main metric that you can measure. But also, you get to meet a lot of people like you.
Exactly. That's been the phenomenal part for us of the podcast. We just started in September, but we've already met so many phenomenal people, and it's been such a blast. And I honestly thank you so much for reaching back out to us.
Thank you. I never say no to an offer, especially when you I want to interview you, of course. I want to blabber about myself for an hour.
Dude, it's awesome. I mean, I think social media, sometimes we get so tied up in, especially in America right now, with Kardashians and there's the negatives of social media. I think it's also important to focus on there's so many positives that it provides, and if you use it in the right way, like you said, you can get more traffic to your website. You can kind of convey the message of what you want to feel. I mean, I don't know if I could convey the message of the podcast without an Instagram, to having people fully understand what it's about. And I think it's another tool of helping people turn their passion into paychecks that's invaluable.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't think of much more that we should... I think we've covered a lot of good stuff.
So, yeah.
Is there anything more that you'd like to bring up? Any shout-outs you want to give out? Or is there anything you're working on that you'd like to talk about? Because this is your time, definitely.
Well, when we talk about the passion and everything,
Yeah.
It's always an important thing that you're never be stagnant. I mean, you learn how to do something cool, like photography for me, for instance, and if you just like stay in that niche and not like just shoot photography, and it gets pretty redundant. This is why you get burned out for it. What I meant to say is that you always have to go and study at the same time. I mean,
so like expanding
your horizons, studying something new, and San Diego is actually a great place to do that. The continuing education here is phenomenal. I mean, like, for the taxpayers' money, I guess for me and you will pay taxes. I pay taxes, but like the courses are free, so you can basically learn anything, like to work Photoshop, Lightroom. If you don't know it, you just go to the classes. They have a state-of-the-art equipment there.
And where can they find? That's awesome. So there's no excuse for anyone.
Yeah, like just Google continuing education San Diego and like enroll into classes there. Starting January, they're doing a 3D printing program in Central Library.
Are you gonna look into that?
Yes.
That's awesome. You're gonna do some 3D printing stuff.
Yeah.
Have you done any of that yet?
Well, I bought a 3D pen on Amazon that just melts plastic and you can do stuff like that.
How
it's
cool
just
is
more
it?
For fun.
Yeah, is it just like kind of doodling in 3D almost?
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty awesome. So again, I think that means that basically there's no excuse if you have some type of passion. You could still go to your 9-to-5 job and still pursue your passion.
Exactly. Yeah.
And a lot of people say, when I tell them that, they'll be like, "Well, I get off of work and then I'm tired and I don't want." Well, then you can't be that passionate about it.
Yeah, then you have to stop whining about it, right?
Exactly.
If you find excuses not to pursue your passion, then I guess your passion is your work. So
yeah, you have a passion, not 2 paychecks but 4 paychecks.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And again, the taking the creative route. I don't mean to criticize anyone who doesn't. There's plenty of people who are super happy being doctors, lawyers, and they're doing great work. But it is sometimes a big thing for people to ultimately realize that you can make a living with your passion, and it's a big step to kind of take that leap, especially like you said, if you're at a job where you have maybe a retirement plan, health benefits, and it's interesting. I think to that nature, would you also say that kind of your spouse being into photography too has helped that pursuit of passion?
I would guess so.
Yeah.
Well, she actually finished the big course for the program. She went. There is like a whole like around year course for the digital media stuff.
Awesome.
So she learned everything. So she actually has more knowledge into in the Photoshop and HTML and all stuff, like a Premiere, and she can do video and stuff. And I was like,
she's killing you.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I have to step up and do something.
That's awesome, though. I mean, do you also find that in a way that you said, I mean, you guys aren't competitive. It's kind of a friendly competitive where you push each other to be better.
Yeah, more of a friendly ribbing, when you just josh each other. Like,
that's awesome. That's got to be pretty fun. Especially probably like at the wedding projects where she's like, "Oh, get that angle."
Exactly. It's like, I don't want to. It's like, I'm your boss. Come on, you have to do it.
I'm
paying your check today, so like, yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah. That's hilarious. The other thing that you said interesting is like San Diego. Honestly, the one cool thing is like, not only is there continuing education, but there's such like a wide plethora and spread of like cultures around here. Like there's. Honestly, I'm sure there's a fairly good Russian restaurant somewhere in San Diego.
Yeah, I think there's like a couple of them only.
Yeah, okay.
So there's only 2.
Wow, that's surprising. Is there a big Russian neighborhood in San Diego or no?
I don't think so. I never heard of one. I know like a lot of Russians who lived here, but I don't think they're congregated into one region. They're just
not like San Francisco where
probably they're spread out.
Interesting. Yeah. That's cool. I mean, I kind of find that about San Diego where it's not necessarily like, of course, there are neighborhoods where it'll be like culturally this culture, that culture, but you mostly do find like cultures spread out within like neighborhoods, which is kind of cool because you get that blending naturally, which is kind of unique to San Diego for some reason. Yeah, that's the continuing education thing was something that I didn't know. I know that they have great, community colleges here, but
yeah, but the continuing education is totally free.
That's wild.
Yeah, you just register, get a student ID, and just enroll in classes and start going there. I mean, some of the classes have a enrollment fee, but the main ones, I mean, if you're like not like totally safe and ready to start your own business, you can always enroll into like Saturday classes that you go into, like a small business education type of thing. They teach you how to form an LLC or like incorporate yourself. They tell you the differences between the type of entities you would like to encounter and everything. Just like a basic knowledge of inner workings in a small business.
That's awesome. That's so. I mean, that sounds more practical than college in a way.
Probably, yeah, because it's mostly you decide what you want to learn.
Yeah, it's very hands-on, right?
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
So like you can say, I mean, you could probably go to someone and say, oh, I want to set this up, and they'll be like, well, it sounds like an LLC is the right thing for you, or oh, it seems like an S corp is right for you, or something.
Oh yeah, or if you go to a lawyer, there's like, I have to charge you a retainer before I answer the questions.
Oh gosh, yeah, trust me, I know all about that. I can't do it. But yeah, I think the other interesting thing with that is like what you can do from those things is you can find out. Sorry to all my lawyers out there, the legal Zoom is pretty crazy in terms of setting up your own. I mean, if you could probably have a whole class on how to use legal Zoom in an effective manner. But that's really interesting. That's really cool, and I appreciate you telling people that they can follow their passion. I mean, it's a really powerful thing, and guys, don't be tired at the end of the day. Just rock it out. Just pursue that passion. Make that drawing. Go to that class. Record that song. Record that podcast. Upload it. See what people think. The worst that's going to happen is, you put yourself out there and it didn't work out. But you don't want to wake up one day and think, oh, I could have done that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we basically covered all we want to cover. It was really great having you on, Alex.
Thank you.
Again, Alex Grechman, you can find him at alexgrechman.com. You can find him at fotoskeptic on Instagram. Guys, I thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the ODDCAST where we talk about turning passion into paychecks. Alex, thanks so much. We really appreciate you coming out. And we appreciate you kind of, dude, you're representing for San Diego. I see on your Instagram it says San Diego photographer right under it. So that's awesome. And if you want to say anything just to sign out on, or if not, just say peace and or whatever.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah.
And for the opportunity to tell my story, I guess.
Yeah, and
thank you,
dude. This, I mean, you're always welcome. You're now, family of the podcast. And if you ever have an art show, we'd love to come out and support and do whatever we can to help out. So,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alex, and thank you very much for tuning in. Passion to Paychecks, and we appreciate you. Tune in next time to the ODDCAST.
Let's get a little weird. Let's get a little odd. Those sounds you like to hear. We got it going on. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST. It's the ODDCAST.